Welcome back to the Appalachian Outfeed. It's been a minute, but here we are. So just to catch you guys up on what's been going on, we are in mid-February 2025 and just coming off a 4-day power outage here in the Appalachian Hills. And so this is a few months, 5 months after I was asking my wife last night, we're guessing we were out of power with Helene 10 or 12 days back in September. So September, and then fast forward to early February, and we were out another 4 days. And so frankly, this winter has been pretty cold. People that have lived here a long time are saying that it's been cold and snowy, more so than usual. In my mind, this is what I expected when I moved to the Appalachians. Really cold weather and snow with the occasional power outage. So, but I will say the last couple of winters have not been quite this eventful. They've been pretty mild. So this was a little bit of a change from the last couple of years. So anyway, that gets us to generators, right? With the power outages that we had previously, we were working off an old Briggs & Stratton 5,550 watt generator with a 8550 surge rating. And that thing was is right on the ragged edge of being able to do what we need to do. It just barely runs the water heater, and I'm not completely sure that we weren't overloading the generator running just the water heater. It will not run the well pump and water heater at the same time. So that's a bit of a, you can still take a hot shower. You just have to warm up the water heater, warm up the water in the water heater first, turn that breaker off, and then flip the well pump on, and it runs the rest of the house pretty well with that 5500 rating. But again, it was we're pushing it pretty hard when we're working that water heater. So we decided to go ahead and upgrade the generator situation, and in my typical fashion, I spent actually the 4 days while we were out of power, I spent a lot of that time, it was very cold, pretty snowy, and so I spent a lot of that time sitting on the internet researching generators. I looked past the Westinghouse generators as being kind of a consumer grade type of deal with a bunch of bells and whistles that you don't really need, but something caught my eye and I came back to them, and that is the website, the Westinghouse website lists the total harmonic distortion on the power output as 5%, and maybe even as a clean sine wave. Don't hold me to that, but 5% for a generator in the 11,500 range, that's unheard of. And I was commenting to someone that, man, that's a pretty great rating. I don't think I'm going to be hooking computers to this thing because I didn't quite trust the rating that much. But nonetheless, that's a pretty good number. A lot of other generators are 12%, 20%, that kind of thing. So that's kind of, that's fairly dirty power, I suppose. So, but at 5%, I'm like, okay. So I started taking another look, and honestly, pretty good specs. And you start looking at online reviews, which there are a ton of reviews online for this thing. And so I'm like, okay, we'll give it a shot. And going back to the reviews. So one of the problems I was having trying to figure out what generator to purchase is that you'd have a rating. First of all, a lot of generators, it's hard to find good, solid reviews on them. And then the other thing is, when you do find one that's well reviewed, you'll have some good reviews, but then you'll have something like, hey man, this thing shook apart the first day and the company won't call me back. Now, if I'm being honest, the company, when they were referencing this stuff, I couldn't tell if this was the vendor they bought it from or the manufacturer, either way. So you'd get, 4 or 5 really good reviews, and then you'd have one just nightmare experience. And I'm like, it just put me off. So anyway, with the I think it's 1,300 positive reviews on Amazon. They're like 4.3 or 4.8 stars on Amazon. Pretty unbelievable. That being said, I'm afraid that most people are, getting these things, taking them out of the box, doing the review, running them for an hour and doing the review and calling it good. Hard to know long-term how a generator is going to hold up. I will say that Briggs that we were using, I don't know how old that thing was. We've been here 5 years, and the generator came with the house, and that thing was old when we got it. So that thing is a beast. Has worked surprisingly well. I don't have any complaints. In fact, I tried to find a higher rated generator of that same model, so just something that put out more wattage, and not seeing that. So anyway, that's how we ended up with the Westinghouse. So what we've got, if you look on the box, this is the Westinghouse WGen11500FTc tri-fuel something. So let's go back to the total harmonic distortion and the ratings. 2 little snakes in the woodpile so far. So the Westinghouse website, when you go to their specs on their website, they list this generator again as being 5% THD, which is super clean. Well, when you unpack the box and you get the paperwork out, which is about the first thing I did last night when I got this thing offloaded, you get this handy little maintenance guide, okay? And I'm cracking this thing open, looking at it. And as I'm looking at it, one of the things that jumps out at me is the THD on here. If you can see it, it's listed as 23% THD. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a far cry from the 5% that they listed on the website. So me being me, I fired off an email to them on customer service last night going, hey guys, what's up? That was, after business hours last night, and it's about 9:30 this morning. Obviously haven't heard back. I don't know if I will. If I do hear back, I'll try to post an update and with what they say. I did find one comment on a YouTube video where somebody said that 5% rating is at a no load or low load rating. So the generator is barely loaded. Well, that ain't that great. I mean, that doesn't really do that much for me. Oddly enough, this thing does have some USB ports on there to if you want to charge your phone with an 11,000 watt generator, you can do that. And I guess maybe that's where that 5% rating comes in. I don't know, that's beyond me. That seems like a little sleight of hand right there, and I'm not super stoked about how they managed that. The other little sleight of hand that they've done is, the reason all these reviews are online is because if you'll post a review and then let Westinghouse know, they'll send you a free generator cover. Woohoo! Okay, that just waterproofs this thing so the mice can get in there and build a nice little cozy nest, but whatever. So, those two things kind of are a little bit off-putting. I thought about waiting to hear back before I unbox this thing, but it's here. We're going to roll with it. And again, I still feel okay about this generator. So we'll see how she goes. So this will be the unboxing and getting it up and running, and then we'll come back and do some breaking stuff and see how it goes later. I will say that the user manual that comes with this guy is actually pretty helpful. It's very complete, And they did a pretty good job with the user manual. It's laid out a little janky because it's got stuff that should be grouped together, in my opinion, kind of all over the place. Now, don't be misled. There ain't but about a third of this thing in English. Let's see. Maybe half. But so yeah. This is the English portion. That's Spanish and French. So, but nonetheless, pretty good, pretty comprehensive user manual. So I was happy about that. Usually I just take these things and chunk them in the trash. But yeah, that one will stay on hand. Pretty good stuff. Okay, so enough me yapping. By the way, it is, when I looked at the thermometer before I came out here, it is 15 degrees out here with the snow behind me. So, and somehow it ends up being about 10 degrees colder here in the shop than it is outside. So this joker weighs in about 230 pounds, just the generator. It came on this crate over here, strapped to the crate. Picked it up at Home Depot, loaded it on a low trailer with a forklift, and that allowed me to get it out of here, get it off the trailer and get it in here last night. I questioned whether I needed to take the trailer because it's about an hour and a half on it. Well, no, it's not. It's an hour and 15 minutes with 45 of that being interstate. And I was questioning as I was heading out whether I really needed the trailer. We could just load it in the back of the truck. But the back of the truck sits pretty high. And yeah, after I unloaded this thing out of the trailer, which I basically just slid it out and kind of worked it off the trailer, which is, a couple feet off the ground, I was like, yeah, that was a good call. Trying to unload this thing out of the back of the truck by myself, that was not going to end well, and it would have involved a lot of bad language. So, let me see about how to cut this box. Because there ain't any picking this thing up out of the box. That ain't happening. Try to do this without cutting anything to it. Okay, that worked. I got the business end facing me, so that's good. Give me just a second here. Okay, so that went fine. Before we get into the generator itself, we can open this big box right here, which is going to be all the accessories. And what do we got in here? So we got a propane hose, hooking up your propane bottles. So again, this is a tri-fuel, gas, propane, or natural gas. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have natural gas coming in. And so I'm going to try to run this thing off propane if I can. So try. So yeah, propane hose. Let's see how long this dude is. Not that long. Kind of thought that might be the case. Whew. It's so cold it don't want to uncoil really. So yeah, we can call this 6 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, something like that. All right, so that's not terrible, but I'm gonna have to probably upgrade that dude. This is gonna be the trickle charger for the battery. One note of caution, the owner's manual suggests that you can just kind of plug this thing in and just forget about it, and it's going to automatically maintain the battery indefinitely, I believe is the word that they use in an owner's manual. I would not do that. The likelihood is you're going to end up cooking your battery after it sits on there for a year or two. Maybe it's smarter than that, but I wouldn't trust it. I think what I would do is go and try to remember to go every month or two and throw that thing on trickle charger. Or if you know a storm's coming, make it part of your routine to go out there and, you know, top the battery off ahead of a storm. But I just don't know that I would put that thing on charge and just leave it on there. I think you're going to end up killing the battery after a couple of years. Also comes with 1.26 quarts of oil that they specifically say to use this for the break-in period. And then you can switch over to synthetic, which is what I'll do. I'll probably run some Mobile 530 synthetic in this thing once we get it broke in, along with a nifty little funnel. See, I didn't see this. So it's always hard to get oil in these things because of where the oil fill is located. And even with a regular straight funnel, it's tough. My God, my hands are cold. But look at here. We got a highly engineered funnel with a special crook in there. So hopefully that'll help when we go to fill this thing up. Won't be getting oil everywhere. So, okay. That's, you know, probably cost a nickel to do that, but hey, I'll take it. This is going to be the, not the wheels, but the other end, the little rubber. Golly, my hands are cold. The other little bumpers, rubber bumpers that oppose the wheels, along with a nifty little toolkit that I probably am not going to use. But hey, if you're somebody that doesn't have tools, you got some. Oh my God, my hands are cold. Let's see, 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter, and 10 and 13, so you can work against each other on these. Not terrible. And then a spark plug tool. Again, yeah, nifty little carrying case. All right, yep, so that's the axles for the wheels, which are like hard plastic. So, yeah. So overall, that's not terrible. There, you know, you can put this thing together and you can get up and running without any, I guess, really any outside support. Just put some fuel in it with what's in the box, and you're, no pun intended, cooking with gas at that point. But that ain't what y'all came to see, is it, necessarily? Get this bad boy worked around here. Yeah. All looks good. Aha, okay. All right, so learning stuff already. So obviously this thing does not come with oil in it, so you got to make sure that you get this thing oiled up before you go trying to crank it. Oh, there went the crate. My phone. This thing is a beast. All for you guys. There she is. Can you see her in all her glory? All right, lighting in here isn't the greatest, but that's what we got. Okay, So he gets set up, and we will get the wheels on this thing. I will say that one thing that kind of got me on, I appreciated the fact that when they named this thing, they named it after the non-surge rating, the run rating, the 11,500, not the 13,500 rating. 13,500 would be a little misleading on this thing, but apparently they got us different ways. So let me see if I can get this dude kicked over. Yep. Think that'll work. Looks like the wheels only go on one way. Don't worry, I'll get over there and do the other side so you can see how this goes. I just made a big mess. But the wheels get held on basically. This isn't even a bolt. This is just a rod with a hole in it, and then a clip that goes through here and holds the wheel on. So there's no threading involved in that, which is fine. Good sturdy fastener right there, so that's good. Let's see what we got here. Yep. So we're gonna go through there. Whew. Throw our washer on. Looks like only one washer per wheel, which is a little surprising, I guess, but I guess it'll work. Ugh. Get my hand down in there to get this clip on. There it goes. All right, we got that one. Oh. I will say, if you can get this thing together in 15-degree weather, you ought to be able to do it any other time, so that's good. Oh. My dog done gave up, which I didn't even think it was worth bringing him out here to start with. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put the little bumper pad on this other side while I'm here. Might as well, right? So there's a little bumper pad. Sits on. Looks like there's an inboard and outboard location where you can locate this thing. I am going to locate it on the outboard side. My God, my fingers are cold. Oh, this metal ain't helping. Oh. I cannot feel my fingers. Woo, baby. Coldness. All right, we're getting one bolt on there. Took me that long to get one nut on a bolt. But it's right there, it's very accessible. God. Man. Oh. How you doing, pup? Like, hey man, can I go in? All right, well, in a little bit. I guess you guys caught all I did was fling this thing up on one side, prop it up on a 2x4. There's no fluids in it, so nothing, shouldn't hurt anything to do it that way. I will say these seem to be decent quality bolts, and the nuts have the little serrations or whatever you want to call it on there, so they don't back off. Obviously, this generator is going to vibrate a lot when it's running, so got to be mindful of that. Whew. Woo-hoo. All right, let me see if I can get you guys down here. Have the tools out, thinking I might need them, but I don't know if I'm really even gonna need them for this quick and dirty getting this thing going. So that's nice. Whew. This thing's been sitting out here all night, so it is literally at least 15 degrees. Let me get you guys down here and maybe you can see some detail on this wheel assembly business. All right, bring my studio lighting in here a little bit closer. Woohoo, we're cooking. All right. So here again, you've got this bolt and this pin, and the pin goes in there like that, right? You've seen these before, I guess. If you're redneck enough to be messing with a generator, hopefully you've seen that. Obviously, you're seeing what I've seen. I haven't looked at the instructions, but I'm going to assume that the washer that goes with this thing goes on the back side of the wheel, and the wheels are, that's going to be the inside, I believe. And there's the fancy outside. So let me see if I can get this dude kicked over enough. There we go. Snowing on me. Alright, that thing is just oriented the wrong way for me to get my hands on there to it. Ooh. Come on, man. Throw over there. Give me some love. Ugh. Where's my pen? There we go. All right. I was able to see what we got going on here. There's the pin. Again, this is not rocket surgery. And then on the other side, got our little bumper things. Ugh. Let's see, probably shift my 2x4 around now. Make it a little easier on myself. Maybe. There we go. stuff out of the way. That helped me out there. Okay. You guys ought to be able to catch this, I'm hoping. If that'll fit under there. That should work out just about right. Whew. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge about getting this thing together in this cold weather. Woo! Can't feel my fingertips. If it's about 20 degrees warmer, this will be a no-brainer. Still not bad. Getting really cold. Pro tip: if you can put some nitrile gloves on when you're touching bare metal that's cold like this, it goes a long way toward not freezing up like I am. All right. That's weird. It almost feels like I'm doing this with somebody else's fingers. Okay, so that's what we got. Not a big deal. Next thing we gotta do is hook the battery up, put those two wires together. My understanding is that with gas, there's some kind of like a little electric solenoid or fuel pump that primes the carburetor for gas, and without battery power you ain't cranking this thing. You can put, it's got a recoil start on there as well as the electric start. But if you don't have a battery, it is not going to start no matter how much you pull on it. It's just not going to happen. There's another guy, and I'll try to link to his video below. He's another redneck somewhere. Pretty good stuff. Where's the blade at? He's got this exact same generator, and he shows how to bypass the battery, or I guess you'd say augment it maybe, if your battery ends up being dead. Boy, these wires are stiff. Ugh. They just go together. You can't do this wrong. All right, I'm gonna have to shove on that a little bit more off camera to get that together. Golly, maybe when it warms up some, but you get the idea on the battery installation or hookup. And there's some more packing material under here now that I've got the feet on it, and I'm gonna have to go back and tighten those back up. Okay. Well, they about made a liar out of me. So, found the natural gas hose tucked up in under the gas tank and sitting on top of the muffler. So we got that going for us. That looks like it might be a little bit longer than the propane line. Doesn't do me any good, but hey, there it is. One last little quick shot. At the oil. I'm making a big deal out of this oil funnel, but man, it gets messy when you trying to put oil in these things. So the funnel actually really is a nice touch. I will say that this dipstick, yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but this dipstick has some oil on it, which tells me that they ran this thing at the factory. So hopefully, at least, yeah, I can even see some oil residue in there. But yeah, if we can get past this, yeah, man, I mean, check it out. That's going to work. So that's actually a pretty nice touch. While we're talking about nice touches, we'll top that dude off. You know what? I'm going to top that thing off right now so I don't forget. And we'll do this on camera. Because otherwise, yeah. Before I do this, the other nice touch is the fact this thing has what they call an oil filter. It's not really much of a filter, it's more of a screen. But there you go, and again, you should be able to see there's some oil residue on there. So that's a pretty fine screen. So that's not too bad, man. I mean, you know, most generators don't have anything, and I will say that both that Briggs that I like so much, that's held up so well, and my other generator, which is powered by a Honda engine, they don't have any kind of filter on them. So, you know, anything's an upgrade off of nothing, right? So, yep. Make sure there's no fuzz in this funnel. Fuzz in the funnel. Now we might ideally have a 2-funnel system here where we put another funnel into that one. But so here again, they make a point of saying don't try to fill it too fast, man. The hole on this funnel, the snout that goes down in there is tiny. So, yeah, this is going to be a slow process. This is 10W30 oil. Now they do make a point of saying be sure you use this oil for the break-in period, which if I'm reading it, golly, reading it right, break-in period is like 25 hours long. So that's an extended break-in period. I would ordinarily run this thing for maybe like 8 or 10 hours and then change over to synthetic, but I don't guess I will. I'll do the full 25-hour break-in. All right, I think I cracked the code on how to pour this oil without spilling it everywhere. Got to hold the bottle sideways. That's the thing of nightmares, which is get a generator like this and put it all together, and then forget to put the oil in it before you crank it up first time. Definitely got to hold your mouth right to get the oil in there without getting it everywhere. About 2/3 of the way there. Honestly, I'm not sure how you do this without this funnel. Just barely do it with it. Whew. Yep, so the reason they want you to use this oil and not synthetic right out of the gate is so that the piston rings will seat on the engine. That is a real thing. They need to break in and wear in a little bit. And I would also caution you to not exceed that 25-hour break-in period on this oil, because man, there's going to be all kind of little metal shavings and stuff. It's going to be gnarly, this break-in oil, once it gets done. Which actually reminds me, you can order drain plugs that have magnetic ends on them that'll fit this thing on Amazon. And it's a 12, I believe it's a 12mm thread pitch, but I can't remember if it's 1.5 or 1.25 thread pitch. I just cannot remember. But you can kind of Google around and figure that out. In fact, I was able to figure it out based on looking at stuff on Amazon. That's probably, the one I ordered was $10. Man, there's a company selling magnetic oil plugs, and they specifically named this generator, you know, as it being a fit. They want $30 for a freaking oil plug. Now it's stainless steel, American made. I got it, but man, $30 for an oil plug. Come on. So we went the $10 route. You can kind of guess where that one was made. getting there because we're about out of oil in this thing. Do not see it in the filler neck, but yeah. I believe the oil capacity on this thing is listed as 1.2 quarts, and this being 1.25 or 1.26, it's going to take not quite all of this bottle. I guess they put a little extra in there to account for knuckleheads who spill it everywhere. Who would do that? I had no idea it was going to take this long to put oil in this thing. We're getting close. Yep, I can see it. We're almost there. We're right there, baby. All right, so the oil is just barely draining down the filler neck on this thing. There we go. I'm gonna call that good. Up there on threads, and when I pulled it out, yeah. By the time we put this dipstick in there, okay. Again, now I understand why they included that funnel in there, because you're not doing it without that funnel. I wouldn't think. Guess you could get a flexible funnel and that'd work. Whew. Okay. One last detail I want to show you guys before we sign off with this part of it is I couldn't figure out from images online what this was. I couldn't tell if that was a plug or a light or socket or what it was. So this is simply if you need to run a wire to a ground rod based on your setup, this gives you a good attachment point for your neutral. So if you were to unbind the neutral from the frame and need to hook the generator to a ground rod, which I am not qualified to comment on. But this is the, yeah, so the little signage underneath it says neutral bonded to frame, but that may or may not fit your application. And if you need to run a wire to a ground rod, this is where you attach it right here. Yep. So overall, not bad. I'm going to go to town and get a NGK spark plug for this thing before I crank it the first time, which may be today or tomorrow depending on what the weather does. And oh, and my magnetic drain plug is supposed to be here tomorrow as well, so we probably won't be kicking this thing off until tomorrow at the earliest. And then it's supposed to start warming up a little bit, so that'll be a beautiful thing as well. But that's what we got, guys. This is, again, the Westinghouse 1100 TFC tri-fuel I don't know what the C stands for. But we'll come back when we go to fire this thing up the first time.